Welcome back. This is week 2, titled, it's for the Pastoral Care Training course, titled Basic Skills for Caring. It says here, first thing it says is definitions of pastoral care. Number 1, love with skin on. Number 2, caring for another by giving oneself in Christian love. Can the pastor do it alone? Question mark. Essential prerequisites for pastoral carers. Underline which, if any, of the following gifts a person needs to be an effective carer: teaching, counseling, evangelism, encouragement, words of knowledge, wisdom, intercessory prayer, mercy, prophecy, administration, miraculous powers, practical helps, tongues, giving, leadership, hospitality. Answer: none. Some of these gifts would be helpful, encouragement, but they are not essential. There are 2 and only 2 essential prerequisites for lay pastors: love for God, and number 2, love for people. You may be the least gifted person in the church, but if you have these 2 qualities, you are qualified to serve God and His people as a pastoral carer. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 teaches us 2 important things. Number 1, you may have all the gifts there are to have, but without love, you are nothing. Number 2, love is greater than all the spiritual gifts put together. The inference is that God can use a person who has love much more than He can use a person with extraordinary gifts. Love is actually a more powerful force for God's kingdom than our spiritual gifts. If you love Jesus and love people, God can use you. A 4-year study in the USA of hospital patients showed that the patients who recovered most quickly were those whose careers exhibited high levels of warmth and love. Significantly, patients whose careers significantly lacked these qualities grew worse. The therapeutic relationship and its impact. University of Wisconsin Press, 1967. Having said all this, there are some skills that can help us be more effective career carers. And then the next one is the skill of listening. Someone once said that because we have 2 ears and only 1 mouth, we should do twice as much listening as talking. Listening too little and talking too much is the most common mistake that most novice pastoral carers make. Listening too little and talking too much is the most common mistake that most novice pastoral carers make. And then here's a little thing on the top right here. It says, a wise old owl lived in an old oak. A wise old owl lived in an old oak. The more he saw, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Now why can't we be like that bird? James 1:19. Be quick to listen and slow to speak. Most people in crisis or with problems or worries simply need to ventilate, get things off their chest in order to start to feel better and summon inner coping resources. The difference between hearing and listening. Hearing, the psychological reception of auditory signals. Listening, the concentrating with mind and heart on what we are hearing. Listening does not come naturally. It is an art to be learned and mastered. Here are 6 key listening skills that will make us better listeners. Number 1, attending. A, to their words. Not daydreaming. Not thinking of what you will say next. A class to suggest other things. Ask class to suggest other things we should attend to other than words. Okay, B, to what is not being said. The person may have just skirted around an issue or changed the topic or obviously avoided saying something. Don't dwell on this too much to the point where you fail to listen to what they say next. File it away in the back of your mind to come back to later. C, to their motives. Ask yourself, why is this person telling me this and why now? D, to their body language and gestures. Ask class to demonstrate body language for each of the following. Can indicate nervousness or defensiveness, angry. Can indicate they feel something more strongly than they are admitting. Can indicate they feel the exact opposite. Can indicate they are lying. Touching mouth, nose, or ear. Inability to look into the eyes. Watch our politicians sometimes. That's messed up. E, to their tone of voice. Same as above. Same as above. F, to their feelings. Often the most important thing, but the most overlooked. Don't just focus on the issues, the content. Irrespective of the issues involved, we need to help people face up to any unhealthy feelings that they have allowed to creep into their hearts. Anger, self-pity, fear, insecurity, depression, blaming God, unforgiveness, bitterness, unworthiness. Their problems may be long-term, and we may not be able to help resolve them, but we can help people react in more healthy ways to them. Suggest how the following people may be feeling. Example 1. A person has a falling out with a close relative. They haven't spoken for 2 months. The relative dies suddenly. Guilty, angry, and at relative, at God, devastated, numb, relieved, never got on. Guilty because relieved. Number 2, a single mom loses her job. She has 3 kids and a mortgage. Angry at employer, angry at God, worried, despairing, suicidal, depressed, low self-worth, hopeless, optimistic, relieved, hated job. G. Give nonverbal cues. Most important, eye contact. An important rule, the listener should maintain constant eye contact. Let the speaker be the one to break eye contact as he or she desires. Other nonverbal cues: nod head, smile, frown, raise eyebrows, non-defensive posture, non-threatening posture. Don't lean forward, sit at an angle to them. Number 2, reflecting. This is the second most important listening skill, and one that is almost always overlooked. People often bypass this and move straight into questioning or advice giving. Reflecting is a way of giving feedback to people in order to let them know you understand what they have said, and also to encourage them to continue. Reflective responses are particularly helpful when the person has stopped talking and we want them to continue. There are 4 types of reflective responses. A. Conversational response. Oh, I see. Oh, no. Go on. Oh, really? Jazz. That's my wife. When I talk, she's always does that to me. So, I see, babe. Okay. These are extremely encouraging as they let people know we are listening and that we're interested. They have the added advantage that they don't get in the way or interpret. Don't overdo it. Let it be natural. Friend, he said he doesn't love me and just walked out. Carer. B. Mirror response. Repeat back to the person in full the last thing they said. Example, and now I don't know what to do. You don't know what to do? Often this is all that's needed for the person to resume talking. Instead, in the above examples, many career carers would immediately try to give advice. Beware of using too much. You will start to sound like a parrot, and the other person will become frustrated. Friend, he said he doesn't love me and just walked out. Carer. Partial mirror response. Reflect only part of what was said. Often the part you choose to reflect will determine the direction the conversation will take from there. Friend, he said he doesn't love me and just walked out. Response. Feeling response. People in crisis need to express their feelings. Talking about how they feel is an important step towards healing. Some people may not be fully aware of their feelings, perhaps even denying that they have such feelings. A feeling response by the carer will attempt to bring such feelings to the surface where they can be dealt with. A feeling response can be either a statement or a question. I can understand how hurt you must feel. Sounds like you're really angry. Are you worried about it? How does that make you feel? Oh wow, that's something that we just went through in our chaplaincy course too. These same questions. Friend, he said he doesn't love me and just walked out. Carer. So in other words, just zip it. Possible feelings: devastated, angry, relieved, numb, depressed, ecstatic, confused, and shocked. It's important to attend the person's body language and tone of voice to determine how they are feeling. Don't assume they feel the way you would in that situation. E. Rephrasing response. Similar to the mirror response, except you repeat back in your own words. This is often a better way of indicating that you have understood. Be careful, there is a risk that you may get it wrong, interpret incorrectly. Example, I failed chemistry again and I'm not game to tell Dad. You think he'll be pretty upset when he finds out? Friend, he said he doesn't love me and just walked out. Carer. He's gone. He's left. Just like that, without so much as a goodbye. Rephrasing slows down the conversation because the other person has to listen to what you're saying. It helps the person to rethink what he or she is saying. The end.